He wanted to hear me sing while I was dying. He's gonna regret it. Coughing started subtly, a tickle in my throat I could usually ignore. But tonight, mid-area, it exploded. Violetta's soaring soprano dissolved into a hacking, wheezing mess. The orchestra stuttered, the conductor threw me a look, and the audience shifted uncomfortably in their velvet seats. "Excusey," I managed, my voice already cracking. I fled the stage, the shame a hot wave washing over me. Backstage, David was waiting, his usually cheerful face creased with worry. "Sarah, you okay?" "Peaky," I croaked, reaching for my inhaler. One puff, too, no relief. The coughing wouldn't stop. My lungs felt like they were filling with concrete. David grabbed my purse, rummaged for my emergency meds, and helped me take them. He always knew what to do. We'd been a team since conservatory, him at the piano, me belting out impossible high notes. Now, my high notes were becoming a distant memory. The ambulance ride was a blur of sirens and anxious faces. At the hospital, Dr. Corbin, my pulmonologist, was waiting. He was tall, handsome in a slightly condescending way, and always impeccably dressed. He was also the only doctor who seemed to genuinely care about my unique case. My rare lung disease, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis with a twist. Apparently, it was attacking my lungs in a way that was affecting my vocal cords, making me a medical marvel and a singer's nightmare all rolled into one. "Sarah, my dear, what happened?" he asked, his voice dripping with concern. "The usual," I rasped. "Couldn't finish the Act 1 finale." He sighed dramatically. "This is unacceptable. We need to get you stabilized. We'll run some tests, adjust your meds, and then we'll get you back on that stage." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But the hope felt like a lead weight in my chest. The next few days were a blur of tests, needles, and sterile hospital air. Dr. Corbin visited often, always with a new suggestion, a new experimental treatment. "We're on the cusp of a breakthrough, Sarah," he'd say, his eyes gleaming. "Your voice, it's a treasure. We have to preserve it." He started me on a new drug, a phase Roman 2 trial. He explained the risks, the possible side effects, but he also emphasized the potential benefits: improved lung function, increased vocal stamina. I was desperate. I signed the consent forms without reading them too closely. Emily, a young soprano from my opera workshop, started visiting me. She was bright-eyed and enthusiastic, everything I used to be. She brought me sheet music, stories from the opera house, and endless supplies of herbal tea. She was a welcome distraction from the sterile reality of the hospital. One afternoon, as Emily was helping me practice some vocal exercises that left me breathless and frustrated, Dr. Corbin walked in. "Ah, Emily, how lovely to see you. Supporting our star, I see." He smiled, but his eyes lingered on me, a calculating glint in them. "Sarah's amazing, Dr. Corbin," Emily gushed. "I'm learning so much from her." Indeed, a truly unique talent. And a truly unique case, he added, almost to himself. He then gave Emily a card of his, telling her he would love to have her work with him in the future. As the weeks passed, the new drug seemed to be helping, a little. I could breathe a bit easier, sing a few more phrases without collapsing. But the side effects were brutal. Nausea, fatigue, and a constant, throbbing headache. David was increasingly worried. "Sarah, this guy, he's pushing you too hard. I don't like it. You're paler than usual, your hands shake you never used to shake." He's trying to help, David. He's the only one who is. Besides, he said he wanted me to try singing for a recording as a baseline. It might help him understand my case better. A full team would be involved. A baseline? For what? You're not a lab rat, Sarah. Don't you think I know that? I snapped, my voice hoarse. But what else am I supposed to do? Just give up? Watch my voice disappear completely? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "No, but you need to be careful. He seems obsessed." I brushed off his concerns. I was too focused on the faint glimmer of hope Dr. Corbin offered. I needed to sing. It was who I was. Without it, I was nothing. The baseline recording session was strange. It wasn't in a professional studio, but in my hospital room. Dr. Corbin insisted it was for convenience. A sound engineer set up some equipment, but Dr. Corbin seemed to be directing the whole thing. He chose the area, a particularly demanding piece from La Traviata. He kept pushing me to sing it again and again, even when I was gasping for air. "Just one more time, Sarah," he'd say, his voice smooth but insistent. "We need to capture that vulnerability." I hated it. I felt like a performing monkey, forced to dance for scraps of attention. But I did it. I sang until my lungs burned and my voice cracked. I sang until I collapsed back against the pillows, tears streaming down my face. One day, Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman in the bed next to mine, saw me struggling to breathe after one of these sessions. She was a kind, quiet woman with eyes that had seen too much. That doctor, she said, her voice a low rumble. He's got his eyes on something. Something more than your health. What do you mean? I asked, suddenly uneasy. He watches you, she said, her gaze unwavering. Like you're a specimen, like you're not a person anymore. Her words chilled me. I tried to dismiss them as the ramblings of an old woman, but they stuck in my mind. A few days later, while I was resting, I noticed something odd. A small, inconspicuous camera hidden behind a stack of Get Well cards. It was pointed directly at my bed. My blood ran cold. I confronted Nurse Ratched, a woman whose soul seemed to have been surgically removed. What's this? I demanded, pointing at the camera. She shrugged. Dr. Corbin's orders. He's documenting your progress. Documenting my progress with a hidden camera, without my permission. He said it was for research purposes. You signed a consent form. I vaguely remembered signing something, but I hadn't read it closely. I had trusted him. I stormed into Dr. Corbin's office, my heart pounding. He was sitting at his desk, reviewing some charts. What is the meaning of this? I demanded, slamming the camera on his desk. He looked up, startled. Sarah, my dear, what's wrong? That camera in my room, are you filming me? Without my permission. He sighed, a look of weary patience on his face. It's for research, Sarah. To study the effects of the treatment on your vocal cords. You signed a consent form. I signed something about the drug trial, but I didn't sign anything about being filmed like an animal in a zoo. Don't be dramatic, Sarah. It's all perfectly ethical. It's for science and for your legacy. My legacy, by exploiting my suffering. He stood up, his voice hardening. You should be grateful, Sarah. I'm giving you a chance to contribute to medical knowledge, to leave something behind. I want the recordings destroyed, I said, my voice shaking. And I want that camera removed. He chuckled, a cold, humorless sound. I'm afraid that's not possible, Sarah. It's for the greater good. The greater good, or your greater glory. His face flushed with anger. You ungrateful. Suddenly I couldn't breathe. The coughing started again, a violent, uncontrollable spasm. I stumbled backwards, gasping for air. Instead of helping me, Dr. Corbin reached for his phone. Get the camera, I heard him say, his voice cold and detached. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. David burst into the office, his face contorted with rage. He saw me struggling, saw Dr. Corbin filming me, and he lost it. He shoved Dr. Corbin against the wall, grabbed the phone, and smashed it on the floor. Get away from her, you monster, he yelled. Doctor. Corbin shoved him back and pressed the emergency button. Nurses rushed in, pulling David away. He looked back, full of rage, and mouthed, I'll fix this. I was transferred to the ICU. My lungs were failing. I was put on a ventilator. I drifted in and out of consciousness, plagued by nightmares. Nightmares of cameras, of cold, calculating eyes, of a voice that was slowly fading away. When I finally woke up, David was there, his hand gripping mine. He's been doing this to others, Sarah, not just you. I found others, families, who he talked into procedures that have left them damaged. I contacted a lawyer, a good one. She's ready to fight. Emily was there too, her eyes red-rimmed but filled with determination. I told everyone at the Opera House, she said. What he did to you, it's disgusting. No one will work with him again. My lawyer was relentless. She dug into Dr. Corbin's past, uncovering a pattern of unethical behavior, of exploiting vulnerable patients for personal gain. She found evidence of falsified research data, of unauthorized use of patient images, of a blatant disregard for human dignity. We filed a lawsuit, alleging medical malpractice, breach of privacy, and emotional distress. The documentary was immediately blocked from release. The hospital tried to cover it up to protect its reputation, but the truth was out. The story went viral, sparking outrage and condemnation. Dr. Corbin was suspended, then fired. His career was in ruins. The court case was long and grueling. Dr. Corbin denied everything, claiming he was only trying to help me to advance medical science. He even had the audacity to say that I had misunderstood his intentions. But the evidence was overwhelming. The other patients he had harmed, the falsified data, the secret recordings, it all painted a clear picture of a man driven by ambition and greed, willing to sacrifice anything, even human lives, to achieve his goals. In the end, we won. The settlement was significant, enough to cover my medical expenses and to ensure that I would never have to worry about money again. But the real victory was something else. It was reclaiming my voice, my story, my dignity. I never sang on stage again. My lungs were too damaged, my voice too weak, but I found a new way to use my voice. I became an advocate for patient rights, speaking out against medical exploitation and demanding transparency and accountability in healthcare. I used the settlement money to set up a foundation to help other patients who had been harmed by unethical doctors. I wanted to make sure that no one else would have to go through what I had gone through. One afternoon, Emily came to visit. She was preparing for her debut at the Metropolitan Opera. She was radiant, confident, and full of hope. "I'm singing Violetta," she said, her eyes sparkling. "I'm dedicating it to you." I smiled, a genuine smile, the first I'd felt in a long time. "Sing it beautifully," I said. "Sing it for both of us." She left and David came over to me. He brought some recording equipment and began setting it up in front of me. "What's this?" I asked him. "I think the world needs to hear one more song from you, Sarah. It's time to make one more recording." I smiled and started to sing. The mezzo-soprano still had a few notes left.